agenda that we've got today deals with confirming the priority locations that have been...
My name's Daryl Miller. I'm the independent chair of the Coastal Panel. I used to live in an area that was red zoned after the Christchurch earthquakes. Saw the impact that natural hazards have on communities and on people. Because of that experience and background I had in understanding why we need to be prepared for these natural hazards. So there's been a lot of work going on in the background by the team in identifying the potential priority locations.
Where are the places that are most vulnerable? What needs to be...
Priority locations are the major risks in the future from sea level rise and climate change. They've asked us to comment on the appropriateness of those selections and whether we've got other factors that we want to consider as well. Of course, used a lot by people.
It's not feasible to really plan for impacts on every square inch of the coastline. So what we asked the Coastal Panel to do was to select areas where the hazards are likely to hit in the foreseeable future in the next 30 years, or they may be already impacting in some places. And we know the communities are already feeling anxious about that.
For the Coastal Panel today, it's, well, are we identifying the right areas? Are there some that we've missed? Are there others that we should include? Very early stages, so it's a lot of work here for the panel. There's no doubt about that.
What could the plans and strategies be above and beyond just sort of recognising that they're important?
While we are focusing our planning process around the public assets that are really integral to the community's wellbeing, we want to make sure that we have a really holistic view, and we are therefore considering and looking at all of the assets in the community, such as homes, businesses, so that they can also make decisions about their future.
I'm Paul Dole from Purell, just next bay round. I'm a resident and a participant in the community with boating, swimming and other recreational things. We've got a situation that's evolving and the impacts locally are starting to be shown. It's time for us to support the community and think of the long-term solutions rather than just quick fixes for this long-term issue.
Today, this workshop is actually all about you guys as representatives of your community, gathering your feedback and their feedback and utilising that to really feed into this process.
At the end of 2022, we had a wider community engagement where we asked them to tell us what's important to them and what are the local values that matter, what are the most important assets for the community, but also what they didn't want to see in the future, what were the things that they really didn't want to see develop.
Today you have brought your values to the table.
First and foremost, those values will form the basis of community objectives that have been developed by the Coastal Panel to assess adaptation options and adaptation pathways to make sure that they meet the needs and the vision of the community.
The values are the what we want, and the objectives that we write, or the objectives that we start to prepare, are the how we do that.
It's very important to have the voices of rangatahi and community at the centre of the table.
There's been quite a broad community conversation. I mean, you know, really this is a conversation about what matters. There are roads and there are, wastewater systems and things like that. But we were talking today more about community assets, things like beaches, like the head-to-head walkway, that people really do value. This process needs to include those as well, because if they don't, then the community will say, so what was that all about? It was just a council process rather than a process that is to involve community.
To help us understand what it is the community really finds important. Community non-negotiables. They could be tangible things and they could be intangible things as well, such as being at the beach.
The beach is a valued location. You possibly bought your house near there because it's there. To you, the sand, to sit in the sun, is an asset. So what's the difference between talking with your little bag of money or your heart?
So access to whānau, homes and whenua.
It's quite a matrix. We've got to be thinking of the future, the community, on infrastructure, access and cultural aspects. Whakaraupō is very, very important.
We want to make sure that the plan at the end of the day is really acceptable to the wider community.
We know that what matters is this beautiful environment, the access to the sea, the access to the hills, the opportunities to have our recreation in the water and by the water. And so the conversation is about, okay, how do we build these things that we know are important into actions we take?